15 years ago, I saw Ravi Zacharias at one of his speaking events in Atlanta. How I felt about him then compared to how I feel about him now, it's hard to even describe. For those of you who don't know, Ravi Zacharias, prior to his death last year, was one of the foremost Christian apologists of the last few decades. He made compelling, intellectually respectable arguments for the Christian faith. In particular, he was able to explain how aspects of Eastern philosophy growing in prevalence in America were incompatible with Christian thought. While watching him in Atlanta, I noticed that not only was he a great speaker, he was incredibly intelligent and came across as a very kind man. This was particularly evident when he answered a very pointed question from the audience about same-sex marriage. I don't even remember what he said. I remember how he said it. He spoke slowly, carefully, lovingly. He didn't back down from his convictions. However, he expressed them so tenderly that they were more palatable to the diverse audience in attendance. But the impression I had of him at that speaking event was dreadfully incomplete. I had heard last year about him exaggerating his academic credentials, but I was stunned when details started coming out about how he has systematically groomed and sexually harassed dozens of women. I read every word of the independent investigation, as well as the often disappointing statements from the RCIM board about the issue. I didn't do that because I wanted to know more lurid details. I did it because the truth matters. And the truth was horrifying. Trigger warning. I am not going to graphically describe what he did, but I am going to describe some of the things that the independent investigation found so that we are all on the same page. The independent investigation revealed that he had also obtained explicit photos of many women, groped others, and even coerced some into secret sexual encounters. Disgustingly, he used religious language as a means of coercion, calling women his reward, or saying that if they outed him, they would be responsible for people going to hell. A lot has been said about Ravi's abuse, but today I'd like to talk about a lesson every pro-life advocate should take away from this scandal. Now that Ravi's sins have come to light, many Christians are left wondering, does Ravi's evil and hypocrisy mean that what he taught was wrong? Technically, the answer is no. Ravi's behavior was inconsistent with his apparent values. At a philosophical level, it doesn't affect the soundness of his arguments whether or not Ravi had personal integrity. If that feels wrong to you, there's a good reason. Even if Ravi's apologetics are intact from a theoretical perspective, his practical witness is dead. It's not just what you say, but who you are that matters for apologetics. Ravi preached a morally good God and Christian ethics, but he was a sexual predator. Even if his arguments were sound, because he lived in contradiction to them, we cannot take him seriously. As Christian apologists are trying to pick up the pieces from yet another high-profile moral failure, pro-life apologists also need to reflect on how our actions affect our witness to pro-choice people. We need to realize that while having the best arguments is important, it isn't the only thing that's necessary. Our arguments won't be taken seriously if our behavior makes the arguments unbelievable. This is true of the pro-life movement as a whole. People are predisposed not to take us seriously because of the bad actions of other people who claim to be pro-life. Sure, this isn't fair to us. After all, we didn't do those things. But it's understandable. If pro-life people don't behave like they care about the dignity of every human being, why should pro-choice people change their worldview to accommodate our beliefs? The whole pro-life position is grounded in the belief that all human beings have inherent value or personhood and should be treated with respect in accordance with their value. Therefore, if pro-life people do things that treat others like they're less than fully human, their position is compromised. If a pro-life person is, or even acts like a misogynist, or is abusive, or is a sexual predator, they will effectively convince people to be pro-choice. Even if they make the right arguments, they must change as a person before they will be taken seriously. Otherwise, they're only convincing people not to believe pro-life arguments. Defending the truth of Christianity doesn't mean defending Ravi Zacharias. In the same way, it is not necessary to defend the morally bad actions of professed pro-lifers in order to defend the pro-life position. In fact, it's actually important not to defend the people who do those wrongful things, because otherwise people will think our moral compass is broken. For example, if we defend a sexual predator, why should people take us seriously when we talk about a morally good God or respect for human dignity? We have to put our principles ahead of party loyalty or a tribal mentality. If you're a pro-life advocate who lives in harmony with your principles, you will be able to change minds by patiently and persuasively making good pro-life arguments. When hypocritical pro-lifers come up in your conversations, and they will, you should use it as an opportunity to find common ground with the person you're talking to. You can say something like, I agree with you that his actions are totally wrong. I don't care that he considers himself pro-life. I'm not going to cover for him just because we're supposed to be on the same team. I think there are a lot of pro-life people who are good and consistent and don't do things like that. You're right not to take that person seriously, but I hope you're willing to take people like me seriously. If you're the pro-life person who's compromised your witness through a lack of integrity, you can change. It's going to be hard, because people around you will likely doubt that you've really changed, and you'll have to work to overcome the stain of your past hypocrisy. But it's good, and it's worth your while. Not only will it make you a better pro-life witness, but it will make you a more virtuous person. The pro-life movement is full of people who have transcended backgrounds with abuse, discrimination, and abortion. I know many of them. And it's amazing to see how their lives have been completely transformed. And yours can be too. Finally, let me say something to those of you who don't mistreat people, but you see pro-lifers who do. We should not defend pro-life people who have done wrong, but we all do share responsibility for this movement. The only reason Ravi's abuse lasted as long as it did was because the people around him refused to hold him accountable. I don't want that to happen in the pro-life movement. If you see a pro-life advocate in your sphere of influence treating people badly, please do the uncomfortable thing and speak to them about it. Thank them for caring so much about being pro-life, and help them understand that what they are doing is counterproductive to their own goal of changing minds about abortion. I think a lot of our followers hope that ERI can make the pro-life movement better. The truth is, we need thousands of people like you standing up for other human beings who are being mistreated, even when the abusive person is on our team.